It's so nice. PRI is the performance racing industry. They're actually, I don't know if it's considered a board, a club, or like a company, or what exactly they are in that sense, but they host a show every single year in Indianapolis, Indiana. For a lot of motorsports stuff, that's kind of the mecca. That's where you see IndyCar, that's where you see the Indianapolis 500. There's just a lot of rich history when it comes to that area. So the PRI show, what it is it's a culmination of every major aftermarket manufacturer for the most part. So anybody who's anybody is going to be there either showing parts, showing new cars. I try to make it out there every year as much as possible. It's nice to see new parts. It's nice to connect with the vendors, a lot of the people that we work with day in and day out. If you have a question about a race car or how to build a race car, there's going to be an answer somewhere within that Indianapolis Convention Center. For me, beyond going there just for the parts, it's a kind of a rejuvenation. It's at the end of the year, you get kind of worn out. You get to a point where you're trying to get either parts released, you're trying to get everything to the customers, you're trying to get employees all kind of motivated and kind of pushed through. You just kind of hit that wall at the end of the year. And getting to go to something like this is always kind of refreshing. It just brings you back into, for me, it brings me back into why I do this, why I've sacrificed so much of my life for this industry, for cars, for the people that I work with. Like, it puts me back in that mental space of being excited about what I do every day.
Hi, Will.
Getting there this year was a bit hectic. Normally I'll either fly out really late at night or really early in the morning. And this year we landed in a spot where we kind of flew out midday and then also had like an incredibly important meeting that was in the middle of right when we had to leave. So me and Junior, one of the other guys here that went with me, so like I'm like flying through traffic. There's probably some footage of me like holding the camera, driving into like the parking ramp. Went to go park and I could not find a single parking spot. Like I'm already running late to the flight. I'm like hoping I'm gonna make it in time and there is not a single parking spot. I drive through like 5 different areas and there's nothing. I was stupid. I drove my big truck. I'm already limiting the spots that I can get into. So I'm just like flying up and down rows. Like I'm like following people looking all creepy, trying to get to their parking spot. And like it just finally got a spot. And then I had to like sprint into the airport, check in, everything was good. And we both made our flights. The flight from Indianapolis, or from Minnesota to Indy is, I mean, it's super short. I think it was like an hour flight. And we were lucky enough to get into the show that night and walk around and kind of just get to see some of our friends that are vendors there, get to see their booths, their new stuff, which is always nice to kind of see the things without a billion people around. Like PRI is not as bad as SEMA. It's not like packed with a bajillion people in front of every car, but still a lot of people around. So we kind of got the ability to see where the people we wanted to talk to were, kind of get an idea of what the layout was. Not that it, for the most part, doesn't change every year, but people get new booths, they move up in the world. So we got to find out kind of who we wanted to talk to and gave us the ability to map out our day a little bit better. And this is how they transport the spares. Went home way too late, you know, slept way too little, the standard convention story. So got all ready, got up that next morning nice and early. We were some of the first people in the show and got to wander around, and it was still kind of empty actually. And it's set up in 2 halls, areas, open spaces. And then with that, there's hallways everywhere and like little nooks and crannies. So you can easily miss stuff. So we decided that we were gonna break it up in like our day 1, we were gonna have the big room, and day 2, we were gonna have the small room and who we wanted to talk to. One of the first things we came across was AEM's booth. AEM has been a long-time partner of ours, both in the cars that we build, like the ones behind us, and just from a product standpoint. They've always been kind of a brand that brings top-tier stuff at a consumer level budget. This year was no different. They had one of the most exciting things that I got to see and kind of put my hands on and realize that like this is coming to life was the AEM EV parts. AEM electric vehicle swap part kits. So we're talking like Tesla motors. I think that electric is going to be a big part of the future of our industry and a lot of people we work with. And what they're doing is they're bringing out basically a standalone ECU for an electric motor swap. So if you want to put it in your old Mazda, you want to put it in your old Honda, they have the components that allow you to speak to those. I'm really, really interested to see kind of where that goes, where they go with it, what companies get involved, who's swapping what into where. From there, we kind of walked, schmoozed, talked to a bunch of people, saw some interesting stuff, and we met up with our friend Saenz. So Saenz is right now they're a company that's making connecting rods, and they have some of the best connecting rods on the market from what we've seen right now. We're very happy with them, very high quality materials, great prices with a proven track record in a lot of very fast cars. So we're working with them a lot lately, and it's very exciting. To me, this year that I saw was readily accessible motorsport level electronics and components at consumer level marketplaces, so consumer level pricing. And that's huge. It just offers the guy that does this for fun a lot more interesting approaches, from standalone ECUs to the components he uses within those ECUs. The technology is just rapidly advancing, and it's really fun to get to see a lot of our partners be some of the major players in those games. As we kind of went a little bit farther, a little bit more into it, one of the cool parts is you're gonna like walk down each row and there's gonna be like GT3 car right here that you get to stare at, like crazy dry carbon like bodywork and like awesome everything. And then like you walk over here, it's an NHRA Pro mod. The diversity of the cars there are it's just wild, and all of them are very well built. You could just dream of parking that in your garage or getting to drive it around. And then one of the next ones that we saw was going to be Kelford Cams. That's been a brand that we've been working with for many years and has been an industry staple. They have some very neat stuff coming to market. We got to kind of put our hands on and fondle some of their new Supra stuff, A90 Supra stuff that's coming out. A lot of focus on the A90 at this show. A lot of people are coming to market. A lot of the people that have spent a lot of time on the products, they didn't rush it to get it to market first or try to, be the flashiest and the most exciting. Another one that we've got some great shots from is Garrett and the release of some of their larger G series turbos, the G40 series and the G50 series. I mean, these are just big turbos that compete in a lot of different classes. I mean, they're gonna work well for some of the import guys that are trying to make bigger power on smaller displacement motors because they flow a lot. And obviously for the larger displacement motors, you can just get even better spool up with a bigger turbo. The benefits are just kind of all over the map for these guys. So they had a really cool car on display, and they had some great turbos on display. We had some great talks with them about what's coming to market for that, stuff that we can use on our Honda behind us and kind of anything else that might be exciting for us. We saw some Ohlins A90 stuff coming out very soon, which we're excited for. There's a lot of tiers to coilovers and kind of what fits into your budget and what you're gonna be doing with the car. And there's so many brands to choose from. Ohlins is just one of those brands that you expect to know greatness from. Like it has such a rich motorsports history that the components are gonna be quality. The engineering behind what they did is gonna be quality. You're paying for that reliability and the fact that that everything is gonna be exactly what you want out of it. We had some cool videos of some of their multi-ways on like a shock dyno that they do like a clear body on that you can watch and see kind of going up and down. You can see the shim stack moving around. You can see it working. And even if you don't understand it, it's really fun to actually just watch it happening. It kind of gives you a really basic fundamental understanding of what your shock is doing. For me, probably the most interesting booth to go to, Injector Dynamics. Once again, a long-standing brand for us, somebody we've worked with for many years. Great products, very good at bringing top-level industry products. So we're gonna see stuff like their ID 2600 injectors. Those were just released a few weeks back. Got to put our hands on them, look at them. You got to press the buttons and shoot the different injector, and you got to see how much fuel is coming out of it at each time. it's always a fun little box to play with. A couple years ago, they released their fuel filter. For me, that was my favorite product at the show. I know people kind of laughed at me when I said fuel filter was the most exciting piece. This year, it was their pump controller. Pump controller and pump. It's been there for years now. It's been something that we've all seen and played with and knew that at some point it was going to arrive to the market, but we're seeing them out in cars now. There's more public posts about them. We all feel that they're coming soon now, so it just feels more attainable, which makes it even more exciting. Yep, it's a pump controller. So you can kind of see a breakdown up there, and then it's a brushless pump. And so they currently have, I think there's a couple cars that are 1500 wheel, single pump, ethanol. With that little silver pump there. Yeah, single pump. What? ID was kind of one of the ends of the hall for us, and we kind of made our way through. Saw our friends over at Turn14 brought Daio Shihara's 8.6 with the new, what is it, the K20, is that the C4? Whatever the new Type R motor is. They have that swapped into an 8.6 rear-wheel drive, cool wide body kit with the awesome Turn14 livery on it. That's always just a fun car to look at. I know that they're planning on doing a lot of events with that thing next year. That was just a fun car to look at. I mean, not a whole lot of business connections on that car, but it's just fun to stare at, something beautiful to kind of see what they've done with it, what they're going to do with it, and that it's going to get driven. Everywhere you turn, there's something new and exciting. So I mean, we could do a 24-hour-long video of us walking around every single booth and pointing out what was exciting about it. It was great to go. We brought home so much knowledge from both the people side, who we talked to, about things that we can do better to help them and they can do better to help us. So that's always huge. That gives us the roadmap of what we're looking at the next year. Combine that with the release of some of these incredible products that we're going to be able to work into, some of the kits that we offer, some of the vehicles that we build. There's so much on the table for us to play with now, and things that maybe a month ago we didn't really know how we were going to overcome some obstacles are now a no-brainer with some of the products that have now come out. Flew back to Minneapolis, both tired, beat, a lot of walking. I think I had 55,000 steps or something in 3 days. I sit at a desk all day, so my feet hurt a lot. Actually ended up having a bunch of people on the plane that were either coming from that show. Met a couple of guys, off-road desert racer guys, got to know them really well. They're gonna come up and hang out and tour the shop. Overall, it was a great time. Made a lot of new connections, saw a lot of old friends, lots of new products. I'm excited to take everything that I've learned and bring it into the next year.